My Hero Academia Vigilantes, episode 5.
Hey! Let's give it up for the new
Oh,
guy.
my boy Koichi's drinking. Yeah, he's a college student. That's interesting.
Oh, hey, my place is close if you're feeling up.
Oh, we went for
Sound
it.
alright to you guys?
I'd love to see your place, Koichi.
You would you?
And here we
But
are.
we're not gonna be alone. Look, we're in college.
It's alright, no need to be shy. I've got plenty of snacks with your name on
Oh
them. and
no,
tea that's to
this is
die
awful.
for.
I had such high hopes.
Worth that price to me.
I was so optimistic about where this was going. It looked so fun, and he's making friends, and girls enjoy his company. It looked like he was really coming into himself. I think this is born from something nice. I think he's just innocent in all the various character stats that go into a human being. I think there's one for just like social convention awareness, and it's not a bad thing. It's just a tool to develop. It's something to have at your disposal. But I think the lack of it, to read it positively, it just comes from a place of purity. You know, you're just not thinking about your image like that. You're not aware of what standard expectations are, so you're just satisfied with less, which can be really nice. You see this with things like clothing, like Koichi, the state of your apartment, food. To you, it's perfectly fine and you get a lot of enjoyment out of it, but people are like, that's weird. These sort of things come to light through your interactions, maybe especially in dating. You see it with new eyes. A broader point from this very minor interaction. I actually think that conscious attention to this sort of thing, if it's mastered, is where a weakness becomes a strength in a really cool way. I think there's really powerful life alpha in identifying the things that you thought were necessities, but that actually not only do you not need, you're maybe happier without. Because now you've just eliminated something from your life and you have all these extra resources left over. Like if you hear someone talk about their problems, a lot of times what'll happen is you'll present a solution that is perfectly viable, but then there will be a whole host of reasons why that's not possible. And those are all things that actually are not necessities, but the person just sort of can't reconcile the thought of life without those things, which also is perfectly fine. But if you could, you're leveraging up your freedom of choice in ways that can be really cool. Like for example, coming from New York, I have a lot of friends who complain about living in New York. And I'm like, well, maybe you could consider trying to find work abroad. And then sometimes they'll answer with like, well, I could never leave New York. It's like, okay, that's fine. But like, if you could leave New York, man, you would have so many options. Other examples, if you take pleasure in working jobs other people hate, that's a win-win. If you genuinely are content living in an apartment the size of a closet, that can work to your advantage until you find a significant other that hates it. Sometimes you can find really powerful things not by obtainment, but rather by omission. So Koichi's, you know, living a good life in his rooftop apartment, which coincidentally I also live in, and it would only even come into focus when other people come over to visit, especially girls he might like. I actually have an embarrassing story very similar to this. Once I had a date and I told her I would pick her up, but at the time I was working as a private investigator and I operated out of a van with tinted windows with a mattress in the back because I had to sometimes sleep overnight in the car. And so just completely not thinking about it, because it's obvious to me, right? I picked her up and she got in and saw the mattress. And then it occurred to me like how terrible that looked, so I had to explain. Definitely not what she was expecting. I'm willing to give Koichi the benefit of the doubt on this one, though he shouldn't be pulling her. Also, like he said, nothing is worth that price to me. Anything is better than your apartment. Also, sometimes with these really dilapidated apartments, the interior can be really nice. You never know.
Him. That new creep of a freshman, Haimawari.
Oh, did this rumor spread?
Here he tried to force a girl into an abandoned building.
Oh, this was just a misunderstanding. Oh, it was going so well for Koichi.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Guy
terrible.
like that will go
He was
after
just
anyone,
good-naturedly
so keep your guard up.
Who knows what
enjoying
kind of stuff that freak gets up to when no one's looking.
the thought of people coming over and having friends and drinking together. Oof.
At least I've got this place. And it's more space than most people have.
Appreciation, I think, is almost always a good thing. Like, if you just appreciate what you have.
So much it's lonely.
Right.
I really screwed the pooch on my college debut.
Also, this place looks amazing. Real talk. As far as bad apartments go, this is not it. And also, you get the whole rooftop, which is cool. If you had a cat, the cat might love it. It's unfortunate because that really was the situation just primed for misunderstanding. Oh, and these are the worst moments, too. Like, not only did something go really wrong that you feel terrible about, but it's amplified by the hangover.
Told you my fans can't catch me smelling like I'm the ant who doesn't get invited for
But all
holidays.
that changed fast. The party never ends with the two of them filling up this.
Sometimes I wish it would, but it just doesn't.
Something about him, Koichi.
It's nice. I like people who can appreciate things. I respect people who can find love and admiration in the things that they have. I think it's a really nice quality. One of the best periods of my life where I have some of the fondest memories came from a time where I was living in an apartment that really was enough for a bed and a desk, and that's it. I mean, actually, the landlord had just put up a wall in his garage and put a bed and installed a toilet, but I love that place, though that happens to be a period where I frequently had people over, somehow. We would drink on my bed. Episode 5.
We've received a follow-up report on the string of jewelry store robbery
Good
murders
God,
that
there's just
began
no
2
rest
months ago.
for this world.
The suspect has been classified as a villain. And to aid
You don't
the
say.
police in their continued efforts,
Oh,
heroes
God.
have been added to the search.
Oh, he... Oh. Weird. I guess we're not the only vigilantes out here. That definitely wasn't the hero.
Today's a nice day to make the set list for my next show and brush up on choreography. Maybe I could write a new song.
Oh, she writes them herself. I was curious about that. Also, you see all this? This is all Koichi's apartment. Look at all that rooftop space.
You're here, Koichi.
Is that a surprise?
He does live here.
I'll remind you that I live here after all.
Right.
You got anything to drink?
You know where there's a lot of things to drink? At the convenience store where they can be purchased with your money. You can go to Family.
This one's the only costume for me.
Oh,
There! And besides, you can't beat official All Might merchandise.
the merchandise kind of weighs on me.
That was mine.
Is that my pudding?
I was gonna eat that pudding later.
Well, you could have said something if you wanted it so bad.
I think that was obvious by the fact that I bought it.
Really not a big deal.
Oh, he's so
This side
nice.
of you's funny. You seriously can't back down from a fight, huh?
You calling me confrontational?
Why can't you ever let yourself accept what you're worth? Buy something that suits you instead of patching up that crummy old thing.
This is interesting. This is coming up again.
Say whatever you want about me, but as soon as you make it about the hoodie, you've crossed a line I cannot allow.
Yeah, that's what got him into the conflict last time. They offended his hoodie. But this is an insecurity. This is something he's not comfortable with or willing to be generous about. And there is something really interesting and cool to explore here about his sense of self-worth and what he expects for himself. Sometimes I think a lot of these sort of queries can be cleared up somewhat by, speaking of omission, dispensing with the kind of identity of it, like, oh, this is just my place. This is who I am. I am a XYZ. As opposed to just seeing it as like, there's possibility. And even if you're not there yet, you can fill into that space. I mean, maybe to some degree his self-assessments are accurate based on what he is now and what he's shown himself so far and what he's experienced up to this point, but that has sort of no bearing on, I think, what is visible about his potential and some of the great natural things he has, like his generous spirit, his kindness, his adventurousness. It's weird because, like, you could be right, you know, like, this Koichi maybe isn't really ready for or deserving, let's say, of like some grand heroic hero life, but that isn't to say he couldn't get there. It's a different realm of analysis.
Let's chalk that up as a whoops from me.
We don't talk about the
Like
hoodie.
they're cheap.
Oh, he's got a
Each
whole
one's
collection.
Specialty good for the most hardcore fans. And they're rare. You're looking at limited runs.
This is maybe not as impressive as you think it is, but it's cool that you have a passion.
So you don't have the full collection?
Used to. I gave that one to a kid.
Oh my god.
Crap the test!
Oh, this is his non-hero origin story.
I don't know the streets of Tokyo.
If you can't navigate the streets of Tokyo, can you even call yourself a hero? The answer is no.
My exam.
This is the essence of a hero.
I am here!
And he used the line too.
Help!
Then he himself needed saving. Oh, you're just standing up? There you go. She probably could have stood up too.
Didn't expect an ice cold bath first thing this morning.
It's invigorating.
See where my hoodie ran off to? We could use it right now.
Here, this will help you.
No,
You gotta give it to the child. Yeah.
for him.
Oh, it's a boy.
No, the hero test!
I mean, I feel like that should be a reference right there. Man, there's some asymmetries here, for sure.
Would I have managed to make it into the hero course? Would I still be pursuing that dream? But I
You know,
gave
sometimes
up
you
my
miss these
hero
things.
spirit that day, along with my prized hoodie.
The irony, though.
They're with that boy, whose name I don't even know.
He made the ultimate personal sacrifice to save someone's life, and the conclusion was, I'm just not cut out to be a hero because I didn't take my test. He's just not really, like, thinking that expansively or creatively.
A brave man jumped in the river to save my life. That's how I wound up
Oh,
on this path.
he became a hero.
I'd recognize that pink hair anywhere.
Oh, this is the future of Vision? That was just a fantasy.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It is pretty dumb,
You
Koichi.
were so busy
It's cute, but it's
pretending
dumb.
to be one, you gave up your best chance to live your dream and become a real hero. How stupid can you be?
Well, like, I mean, in a sense, he's already demonstrated he's a real hero. At least the spirit, I mean, the effectiveness needs to fill in the gap there. Because heroism isn't just a spirit, it's the capability to pursue that spirit. Though you could make the argument, and I think this is well supported by Deku, and also I would say Hinata and IQ, where actually it's only the spirit, and if the spirit is correct, then the necessary steps, the effectiveness, will follow naturally, maybe even causally. And if it doesn't, then maybe it's not really the most refined, highest spirit. Or there are just too many things dragging on it.
But it's a nice story. Shouldn't you be seeing me in a new light right now?
I see him in a new light. But, like, she's
what
not
just
wrong in her
happened?
criticisms. There is something unsatisfying about watching someone you really believe in, sort of, like, downplaying themselves and saying, I could never, you know. It's also
Try
nice
not
that she
being
cares so
such
much.
A pushover for once.
She also may be
And
talking to
hey,
herself
Mark,
here.
That boy whose name you don't know
Oh,
well,
it was a
he
girl!
was me.
What a coincidence!
Ever since that day, I haven't stopped thinking about him.
Oh, that's why she recognized him at the
I
concert.
actually got to meet him recently.
That's
And
why
to
it meant so
think
much to her.
He saved me again.
Oh, wow. So it's actually not so much of a coincidence. It's a coincidence that they were in the same area, but she recognized the quirk. And then he saved her again recently. Well, he saved her a few times already.
I can be nice if I feel like it.
Show you how nice I can be, you jerk, idiot.
Thank you for all the times you've saved me, Koichi.
Say this to him.
Sorry for messing up your exam back then.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about the guilt element of that.
If you want to know what I think, you've always been a real hero.
Yeah, she gets it. I mean, she understands. I wonder how that applies to her herself.
You brought us some pudding? Ain't this stuff for chicks and kids?
If you don't like it, keep
You
your
don't need to,
gummy
yeah.
claws off.
And Koichi not eating it, notably.
That cup's supposed to be for you.
Look, it's like 179 yen. It's at Family.
Why does it turn out like this every time?
I know the feeling.
And every time I put it on,
New song? This time in English.
and all my worries are
No more
gone.
foreign language for us.
If only it were that easy.
Wow, you could tell him in the form of a performance. That would be super dramatic. And then you could bring him on stage, lamppost. See, she too is doubting herself. Maybe that's part of the reason why that means so much to her. I mean, like, he's a symbol of the thing, you know, it's not something that anyone can possess. It's bigger than any one person. It's just something that maybe humans can hold the torch for, you know? Nobody has a monopoly on heroism or goodness, but he was maybe the one that lit the torch for her. The fact that she sees it so vividly means that's something that is burning inside of her, but she's still sort of localizing it to being about him. So if he's wavering, then like the thing itself is not being correctly honored or expressed. Part of the reason why it's a sore spot at all is because she herself is not fully expressing it in that way. Oh, he's gonna get murdered?
They're the one who approached me in the first place. Just gave me the drug for free.
And it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Got a new batch for you, Akira. Wanna try?
Sure, why not? Yeah, it is interesting that the way they're depicting Ideo Trigger, it feels really good, like other addictive drugs. It's not just that it makes you powerful.
I'm the guy who comes running whenever there's trouble. The Crawler!
He actually works as a pretty good decoy. Villains are like, why am I being confronted by a breakfast sandwich? And then Knuckle descends from the heavens and into a pile of garbage.
You aren't officially registered as a villain unless you've committed multiple quirk-related offenses.
Really? Wow, that's a high bar.
Once isn't enough.
Got it.
Yeah, when they let him go, I thought maybe they were trying to find his supplier. He just walked out.
If the villain knows your name, they're usually trying to get you.
God, insurance. The insurance rates. Won't somebody think about the economy?
Busy.
Wait, he
Oh.
actually has a life?
Well, he has a job, a mystery job. So much for decoy.
Hold on. This guy's moving way faster than last time.
Either he took a higher dose or they're perfecting the drug. These are just test dummies. She sees everything.
What did I give to Akira? It was TRD2C.
Well, there's different batches.
Hey, what are you up to? Homework? Nah, writing a report for work.
Yeah, that sounds so lame.
You wouldn't believe what they pay
What a thing
me
to
for this
say.
crap, though.
Your job? Oh, that sounds really boring. I mean, yeah, you don't have to say it.
Oh, now it's interesting.
Is this the... Yeah, this is the assassin. Not a good guy, though. Somebody who really hates bad guys.
I'm Stendhal, a meddler like yourself.
Well, as we know, meddling is the essence
We'll meet
of
again.
being a hero. He sort of reminds me of Stain. Is it just like an earlier form of Stain? I think this is what we usually think of when you hear the word vigilante. I mean, I guess that's consciously the joke being made about the kids. When you hear vigilante, you don't think about getting drunk people home safely, and you think about murdering criminals. And then it's like, oof, I don't know, man. I understand the appeal and how that can catch on, but that gets real dark real quick. Yeah, they're looking on with awe, but if they knew, he was just, you know, knifing people in the alleyways. He does look pretty damn cool.
Maybe I'd do better if I carried around a katana.
This guy's got a fan.
It's hard. You gotta be careful rooting for people on the basis of the fact that they are fighting another evil. That's a really great way to sort of Trojan horse some really terrible things into your heart. Being against a particular evil is not the same thing as being good. I think Attack on Titan, among other things, taught us that pretty effectively.
A legendary alum.
He said he's an older dude who used to go to his school.
Oh, it's Onizuka.
If only these hidden heroes could be more active, it would be great for everyone, right? I'll be sure to do my part.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Folks
be careful.
justifying their fighting based on their own sense of right and wrong is a slippery slope.
You're right, but I didn't expect this to come from you.
It's not like what you said was wrong, but it doesn't feel right.
Coming from
Stop
you.
that! You know better than to think too hard about what he tells us.
I think you should take his counsel.
What up? Just
Yo.
you? Where's the geezer?
We're out of our league, out of our depth. Oh wait, is that him?
Do you guys think I'm some
Oh, I
kind of
didn't
hellish monster?
recognize him.
No, of course not. But like...
Well, yes, though. But yes. Yeah, that was terrible. Well, I mean, okay. Give him a chance, maybe.
But sir...
That was so 2 weeks ago. Maybe he's been having some thoughts. He also came across something much bigger and badder than himself. Maybe there was some reflecting to be had there. A lot of appearances being deceiving in this episode. What is really at their cores? Yeah, this is the murder time.
When you wield power without conviction, that's called crime. When a person falls to crime, they're called a villain. With a single sword stroke, I eliminate your crime.
This is Stain, isn't it? He's a great target, but I don't think he's the one for your drugs.
Some rules are good. They're there so we can all have a little
Yes, give
peace
us
of
some
mind.
context, Koichi.
Good and bad are subjective, but I want to believe I'm doing what's right.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't really want to watch the episode previews because of the spoilers, but I've noticed that they're interesting in the show. Sometimes I give a little bit of philosophical context. I mean, there's a lot to unpack. Some rules are good, but sometimes I have to break the rules. Good and bad are subjective, but I want to believe what I'm doing is right. Maybe the most zoomed out, simplest approach to this is how I said earlier in the show. Rules do serve a very important function, but rules are not the same thing as the good. They can be in support of the good when it goes well. The alleged point of rules is to promote good, or I mean, actually, I think it's more accurate to say they're trying to disincentivize and prevent the worst from happening. It's trying to prevent a negative rather than promote a positive, which I think is actually an important distinction, because in some ways the good is almost a separate concern and gets especially interesting, and that's one of the focuses of the show, when that goodness clashes with the rules. Where this goes horribly wrong is when there is no replacement for that, except for a subjective view of good and bad that is self-decided, self-appointed. So like if I don't like something, the rules are just in the way, and in defense of what I've decided to be good, I get to do all manner of other horrible things, which are not horrible because I don't think they're horrible. And so in that monologue, I know this is just an episode preview, it's not that serious. When he says good and bad are subjective, I think that actually is the undoing of that whole thing. Good and bad are subjective, but I want to believe I'm doing good. But like, then based on what measure? Your own whims of the moment? I mean, it turns out Koichi actually does have a deeper, more objective grounding to goodness than just his personal emotions and whims, which is what makes it work. I think there's a lot of controversy about subjectivity, objectivity in general, where the general framework I encounter a lot is that since anything humans can see, think about, understand, whatever, is through the lens of that individual, it's by definition maximally subjective, which I agree with to a point. There's sort of an inescapable problem of having one's own lens and viewpoint. But I think it gets a lot more interesting and maybe more functionally useful to not see it as a binary thing of like perfect objectivity versus perfect subjectivity, and rather see it as a scale. And I think in the scale, some things are more objectively true or reliable than other things. So like my emotions at the moment are a weaker scale of evaluating action than like what are the methods and practices that reliably foster things like human life and safety and growth and creation and avoid needless pain. And it's like, yeah, that is sort of subjective, right? Like why start there? And while there's certainly an element of subjectivity there, it's so universal to our experience and values and so just palpably, clearly a better framework than like, I hate this person, I should kill them, that it just functionally serves as objective enough for our needs. Like we're not going to have perfect clairvoyance and omniscience into the world, but like why the presupposition that we need that in order to create some kind of working system that's reliable? There are some arguments that seem to attempt to throw away with all sorts of reasoning and all sorts of standards and values on the basis that it's not perfectly axiomatically provable. And then like from there, everything is the same, everyone's perspective is the same. Just by the act of one person thinking something is right or okay, that makes it right or okay. It sort of goes to an extreme because there isn't a 100% perfectly articulable thing on the other extreme, which I think is a mistake. I mean, this is even a more moderate case that I personally hold. I actually think that very little is subjective. I mean, people will point to personal taste, like, well, I like this thing. That's just subjective. There's actually maybe a very good standard of evaluating things. The assessment will just vary based on the stage that a person's at and what their current focus and target is. But we can evaluate a person's tastes based on their targets and based on their current stage or affinity or either stated goal or goal revealed through action, etc. Like if I say this is a great movie, that is personal and it comes from me, but it's not random that I think that's great. I have an orientation. I have a internal schematic for evaluation. There's things I'm looking to get out of movies and we can evaluate along those criteria. And people may not like the movie the same way I do, but maybe it's because they're just looking for something different. But none of those things are going to be unknown things or unique to the individual. They're all going to be related to some kind of element of life and human need. So I think the subjective nature of our reality is vastly overstated. It's sort of like how we call things random because we don't understand the causal link. And so deviating from the law does not mean that we're in subjective territory. It just means we need something more objective, which is probably something just like what I'll call universal inherent value, or maybe better is like emergent inherent human value based on what it means to be human and all the things humanity is living in the world. And some frameworks fall short. Like Stain's lacking conviction is what makes something a crime. Well, I mean, clearly you can be convicted in all manner of terrible things that are destructive and lead to loss of life and lead to unnecessary pain. If we have that much of a shared and recognizable reality, does that not form something workable as an objective strategy for evaluating morality and goodness?